Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Climate Future webinar series. I'm Amanda, today's moderator. In September, Asia Pacific Youth Network has successfully held our first webinar, which is about climate disaster risk reduction. And today we'll have a different topic on climate change and community engagement. I'm really excited that we have two guests today. Above from Nepal, he's also one of the members of our climate change working group, and Xinran from China. She's now a campaigner in the Greenpeace East Asia. So in the next hour, I'll briefly introduce our group first and give the floor to our two speakers to share some knowledge, their work and experiences about climate change and community engagement. So our group, Asia Pacific Youth Network, is from IFRC. IFRC is the world's largest humanitarian network which acts before, during, and after disasters and health emergencies to meet the needs and improve the lives of the most vulnerable people. The three parts, IFRC, ICRC, and over 100 national societies, make up the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement. We know that climate change is already a threat to human lives and driving humanitarian crises around the world. So IFRC is also calling for urgent action to address climate crisis. Our group, climate change working group, is one of the working groups of the youth-led platform Asia Pacific Youth Network. It was established last year to enhance youth understanding of climate change and advocate climate actions among youth in the Asia Pacific region, ultimately creating a more sustainable environment. We have already held many interesting social media campaigns like in Hate Action Day, Net Emission Day, Earth Day, and so on. We also have ongoing research. The Climate Future webinar series you are watching now is our recent attempt to empower youth and engage them in the climate-related efforts. We hope that we can have a more capacity building, knowledge transfer, and climate action advocacy to together build a more sustainable and resilient future for all. So today our topic is about climate change and community engagement. There might be some audience who have already had some experience on it, but some may not very familiar with it. So we'll first have our working group member Annabeth to introduce some key concepts. He's also our first speaker. So after some basic knowledge introduction, he will share his experience and stories with us. Let me introduce Annabeth first. Annabeth is a graduate student of structural engineering at IIT Bombay with an undergraduate degree in civil engineering from Kathmandu University. He has worked as a junior researcher at the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center. Prior to this, he worked as an implementation team leader for the Asia Pacific Urban Flood Resilience Project. His research interests lie in climate change, disaster management, and resilience sectors. So if you have any questions to our speakers, you can type the questions in the comments and chat box. So I'll give the floor to Annabeth now.
Thank you, Amanda. I will be sharing my slides. So, are the slides visible? Okay. So, greetings everyone. My name is Anubhav Gimere, as I have already been introduced. Today, I will be talking on risk resilience and the role of community involvement. Actually, when we talk about this sector of climate change and the sector of risk resilience and reliability, we are we coin these terms like risk, vulnerability, exposure, and hazard. And although they seem to be familiar, they have some theoretical differences in terms of definition. So when we talk about risk, it is usually connected with some sort of uncertainty and some sort of probability. Like we cannot actually have a deterministic value of risk. They are usually uncertain. For example, the flood, the intensity of flood, the time when the flooding incident happens, it is uncertain. So the best we can do is we can predict the probability of those risks. So risk, as we can see, is a function of hazard. Hazard particularly refers to occurrence of a particular natural disaster, say a flood, landslide. And as we talk about exposure, they generally refers to the damage that the hazard can do in terms of social damage, in terms of casualties. They are actually associated with the social and demographical factors. And the vulnerability is like the likelihood that the people or the property is affected by the natural hazard. So as we go to the next slide, we can see that we can see a representation of a community that has been affected by a flooding incident. So here the hazard is flood, and there we can see exposed community and the vulnerable community. The entire community has not been devastated. There are various housing and various properties that have not significantly been affected by flooding, yet risk, in terms of risk, if we evaluate, then there is significant loss of the property. There is significant risk in terms of flooding. So here we can see that the risk, actually the risk factor, it depends on what intensity, what scope we do cover. We do try to cover what area of community, what area of in terms of natural hazards. So therefore, knowing the uncertain parameter, knowing the probability of uncertain parameter will help in attaining resilience, will help us in preparing for resilience in terms of those disasters. So it is essential to actually assess risk. Now, how is risk assessment done? Risk assessment is usually done by following three steps. First is risk identification, identification of natural hazard. Then we do analysis of risk and we evaluate risk. Usually scientifically, it is done by preparing these sort of maps. As you can see, it is more of associated with the scientific phenomenons and the GIS based activation. Also, there is next process that we will be talking later on, how we can involve community, how we can take into account the knowledge of community in order to access these risks. So what after the risk assessment? After accessing risks, then there we need to focus on the need and action for resilience. So this is the process of risk assessment and resilience. Now, where do community involvement arise in these pictures? So we can see that these risks have been coped up by the community and by the members of community since long. So they know about the risk. They are the one who need to cope up with the risk, who need to adapt from the risk. Therefore, it is essential to involve community in these aspects. So let's take an example on how the risk scenarios may be different for different community. I have taken two case studies. The first one is Newark flooding, recent Newark flooding in September 2023. There was 5 centimeters of rainfall in Newark, which just disrupted the subway services. It delayed in flights, and the roads were shut down, and state of emergency was declared. While similar intensity of rainfall resulted 13 casualties in Rajasthan of India. 7.8 magnitude of earthquake that happened in 2016 in New Zealand resulted just 2 casualties, while the same intensity of earthquake in Nepal in 2015 resulted in 8,857 casualties. So here we can see that the risk associated may be different for different communities. Therefore, we need to empower the communities in order to cope up with risk. We need to train them. We need to access what risk is for them in a very specific hazard, and how is it done. So for the first, we will be talking about the need of community involvement. In the need of community involvement, actually, we need to access the local knowledge and expertise before we begin any sort of scientific evaluation. So in that aspect, communities is essential. So involving community also means fastest response and recovery in terms of pre-disasters and post-disasters context. the community member feel ownership and commitment to the project, that will be very much beneficial for successful project completion. And we can achieve targeted interventions only when we can empower the community, when we can ensure resilience. We can also include cultural and contextual sensitivity during community involvement. There can be proper communication and education of the community people, in terms of the community resilience. We can advocate and we can empower the community people in the same process, and it will enhance the long-term sustainability of the project. So that is the importance of community involvement in sort of climate risk and resilience project. So I'll be talking about a project that I had led as implementation lead. It is Urban Community Flood Resilience Project. It was funded by Urban Hub, and here we access actually the urban risks that are associated in Banepa municipality. It is a municipality located in Nepal, and it has majorly been affected by risks such as urban flooding, and there are other factors associated that are improper solid waste management, and so on. So actually what we did was, the key assessment we did was, we did citywide risk assessment. Here you can see that facilitators who supported the citywide risk assessment. So citywide risk assessment is an assessment that is performed under IFRC projects, where we assess the hazards, the shock, the stresses that a specific urban area focuses, and all those assessments are done by uh, actually taking information from stakeholders, from community peoples, and so on. So the key activities performed were, first of all, we did stakeholders meeting. We called the mayor of the municipality, the various heads of administrative process and security personnel, and here we discussed in terms of what risks are they facing, what are the historical parameters of risk, what are the processes that are being done to ensure resilience, where they are facing issues. After we knew these historical backgrounds, not only did we interviewed and not only did we did interviewed and intervened with stakeholders, we also performed assessment with community peoples. We went into the community, we discussed them in terms of the risk communication and resilience communication. Actually, there is a do it together toolkit which we access. This toolkit is simple. It uses basic things such as mapping, hand-based mapping, where community people themselves access where the risks are, what are the accidents that are associated since long, and we will perform some sort of matrix calculation where community people can just mark on how the flood incidents, how the purification, water purification, how the solid waste management has changed 30 years before and 30 years now. So in attaining this sort of information from community people, we can actually access what sort of risk has that community been facing. Since we are new to the community and those people have been coping up with these risks since long, they have been hearing the stories, they have been hearing incidents from their seniors. So this is the key points that are to be like asked from those community people. So after that, we will train them on what are the activities that can be done, and also we will bring what are the results, what are the key activities that has to be performed within their community to ensure resilience. Since they know the community better than us, we will ask the answers from those community peoples on what are the things that needs to be done. After we access what are the things that need to be done, we will deliver those results from community people further to the same stakeholders, what community wants, what community thinks that activities should be performed in order to ensure resilience. And I think this sort of policy recommendation will be helpful to the administrative personnels, to the mayors, in order to implement in their policies for future scenarios. So aside from this, we also did the verification of the flood risks through satellite, and we came to know that at the result of assessment, we had sorted the various communities that are associated with flood, and it matched with the flood risk map, scientific flood risk map that we have prepared. So, and aftermath, after the policy and recommendation were given to the administrative personnel, here we can see that various interventions are being done in terms of like river cleanliness, in terms of increasing the channel flow, like cleaning the drainages. So they are some sort of beneficial things that happened after the project was launched. Now, many of friends may be implementing the community project, may think of implementing the community's project. In terms of my experiences, the challenges, we do need to talk about challenges of community involvement. So the first one is we need to plan about city specific planning. Every city has different variations in terms of risk, so we need to take into account those aspects. Similarly, we need to have trained human resources in our projects, and especially in the context of urban areas, the involvement of community is always a challenging task, since many of the people, they are associated with some sort of economic activities, they are associated with their livelihood. So actively, how to actively involve the community, how can we take time from them, how can we like participate them in our activities, it is one of the challenges that needs to be tackled up. Similarly, how can we represent diversity and inclusion in terms of in terms of our projects? See, risk is associated not only different for different communities. Different members of communities have different factors of risk for the same hazard. For example, for flood hazard, the risk associated with children may be different from the risk associated with old age. So, and it may be different from for the people associated with economic lifestyle, earning and economy. So we need the representations of diverse members of community. We need to take into account all of their like representations, all of their queries, and also accepting the historical data and information is essential as well. We need to have proper communication and proper education in terms of awareness, advocacy, empowerment, and long-term sustainability. So, as I was preparing for this presentation, I just a thought that came into mind that I have expressed here. Given the higher level of uncertainty in terms of magnitude and multitude of hazards, as we can see that now many of the risks are actually accessed in terms of historical data and information. So now what we can see as is that due to climate change, the risk, the magnitude of uncertainty has being different. We cannot actually eventually predict the risk to higher level of uncertainty. So how can we justify community involvement in this process? It is something that I think researchers, active researchers, and key personnel of the risk assessment need to take into consideration for future. So yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, Anubhav. And I think it's very important for the idea that a same hazard may be different across different community, and we need to be more flexible and find the best solution for one specific community. Okay, let's welcome our next speaker, Xinran. Xinran is Xinran is joined the Greenpeace in 2020 as a campaigner, and prior to joining Greenpeace, she worked closely with several climate change research centers, and she noticed a significant disparity between government advocacy for climate action and public engagement. Motivated to bridge this gap, he embarked on a mission within Greenpeace, collaborating on the creation of several impactful initiatives. Now I'll give the floor to Xinran.
Yes, hi everyone. There's some problem about my browser, so I need Amanda help me to share the screen.
For a moment.
Amanda, could you
Can you
help
see?
to open the file? Yeah, thank you. Okay. So thanks for this invitation, and I think my speech somehow can answer the question that left by Anuba, like how to justify the community involvement. But my sharing will start from the action and the inaction about climate change. Yes. So please go to the next slide, Amanda. Yes, compared with the job we do in the past, nowadays I think we don't need to use facts or scientific figure to show that climate risks are already around us. Like Anuba said, there's a lot of climate disaster happen year by years. Also, we cannot lie to ourselves that we can feel the extreme weather and it is very bad, and we can feel the difference even it is never happened around you. Yeah. So climate change now is no longer a scientific issue. The impact of climate change has come to like health, agriculture, food, transportation, and all aspects. So it is difficult for everyone to say that I will not be affected by this crisis. But we will say that it is a crisis that go around to all the aspects. So it can affect everyone. So we need the action together. It's not the action about the government or enterprise, but the action of everyone. So before going to the community and how we involve community, I want to start with from the inaction. Yeah, so we can go to the next slide. Yeah, by analysis this in action, we can find out why community it is important and how community can break this dilemma, we can say it. So in our job, we can find that when we discuss the public action or the action from individual on climate change, we'll encounter a word that we call it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. So the first level of it has nothing to do with me is that many people cannot see the connection between climate change and themselves. Thinking that they would not be affected by this crisis, even it is very extreme disaster. Yeah. So the disaster happened in other places, like other country, other province. It's very hard to emphasize with life here. And the second level of it has nothing to do with me is that even people understand the connection between climate change and themselves. When they are trying to enter this, they will meet the topic like international policy, economy discourses, technical perspective on energy and industry transformation. So the public cannot feel the impact of this change because it is far away. So they can only very passively respond to policy advocacy, but they lack the imagination and courage to very actively innovate the action and to do something. So this two level of nothing to do with me actually directly leads to public emotional indifferences to climate change and their lack of motivation to act. So go to the next slide, please, Amanda. Yeah, so how to build the relevancy of climate change, climate emergency, or climate disaster, whatever that word with our life, and how to break it has nothing to do with me, where this connection came from. So this is the very important question when we try to mobilize more active climate action, no matter it is for public or for community. Yeah, so I will try to give to direction for everyone to do their exploration. That we have already do something in these two direction, like distant and interesting. Yeah, we have done some workshop or salon. Some of them are good, but some of them still need to be improved. Yeah, so the first one is we need to establish the connection from distance, like physically to narrow down the gap. For example, this is a places where I live or a place that I care about. That is not maybe because of climate change. Amanda, no, we don't need to change the slide. It's still in this slide, yeah. Maybe because of climate change, this place I live or I care about, we cannot live here anymore, or it will disappear. Or the climate action carried out in these places, it already affects my daily life. Like some of the places will advocate that people can go out, use the bicycle, but this road is really, really bad and I cannot start this. So we can try to answer if it is a reasonable climate action in these places. Yes, this is from the distance side. The second level is start from interest and establish a link with climate change with some very interesting topic. Like, for example, we have a lot of things should be solved because of climate change, like or our lifestyle or the social or economy system. So in this system or lifestyle, there was a lot of things: energy use, transportation, consumption, food, material circle. And this topic already start with a very serious sides like the scientific or the policy influencer that go out to say it is very important and why it is very important. But this discussion can be started in very interesting way or using very interesting form. Like we can use in board game, we can use drama, we can use art exhibition to start this discussion, and people will like to join us and to give their opinion and like say, yes, maybe this action is good, I can join you. So this is the two direction that we try to like to emphasize, or we will do further exploration. So Amanda, please go to the next slide. Yeah, so in these two perspective, we'll find that no matter it is from physically distance to narrow down this distance or using the same interest to gather people, we can say that if there is only one people, it's still very difficult for action, because I say some of them are too lazy. Some of they say, okay, just if this thing is just do by me, maybe it's useless. Yeah, so the change or the action is still very hard to happen. I think maybe the key question is because we need the support and inspiration from different groups. It cannot only done by me. Yeah. So the community we are talking here about, I think, is a little different from Anuba's sharing. The community we are talking about here is not just the concept of a physical space, but also include like community gather based on same interests. Yeah. So I think it's a little bit boring until now. So next, I want to share two cases for all of us. The first one is a story that happened in a very traditional community in Beijing. Amanda, please go to the next slide. Yes, this case is actually we have a serious workshop. Yes, we choose these communities. In Chinese, we call it hutong. We chose this because it is a community that have very including very characteristics and traditional architectures. As you see in these pictures, this is a very traditional form of hutong in Beijing. Actually, this space, it attracts a lot of attention from like urban designer, architectures, also someone who hope to do some low carbon renewal, but also they want to protect and building. They want to protecting this old building, also this old like to maintaining the old neighborhood. So in this scouting, when we start doing this, like we can say community involvement or community action, we find two very direct problem, or we can say a very direct observation lens we can use. Amanda, please go to the next slide. Yes, when we say we want to get in this community and to do something which is good for climate change or low carbon lifestyle, we will say that there's a lot of infrastructure that is not very friendly for us to start our action. You can see the picture in the left side. It is a window. Actually, in the north of China, the window is very important because in the summer, when it is very, very hot, especially the extreme hot in this summer, this window is very useful when the wind comes. And also in the winter, because it is also very cold in the north of China, then this window, uh, when it is sunshine, the sunshine can get into your home. So the window is very important in this area. But this architecture or this building has been established for a long time, and even those urban renewal have pay attention to this area, but it is didn't change a lot. So we wonder if this building can still adapt when climate change is coming and the extreme climate disaster is going to extreme and frequent. Yeah, so that's the first observation. The second one is about the we can say low carbon traveling, like in Hutong, like in the autumn in Beijing, people want it's like they prefer to bicycle go bicycling and to go through Hutong area. But we'll find that not everyone have their own bicycle. They will use this share bike. So they need to find a place to park. But when they're trying to find a place to park, they'll find it's very hard. So sometimes we can say the share bike have been abandoned very in the very surprisingly places. Yeah, so one say that if this infrastructure, no matter the parking or the share bike itself, is not friendly, is not that friendly for everyone to use, how can we say? How can we advocate a more low carbon traveling way? Yeah, so this is a very direct observation when we want to do the workshop about climate action in community. Yeah, so we based on these two observation, we organize a workshop. We use the city work form. Yes, it's very popular nowadays. City work form and also city encounter. We want to find out if community is well prepared for this adapting climate change, because we don't have that scientific background like the technique, the very specific technique to say yes, this infrastructure can be changed change like this. We can use this low carbon material. In this workshop, we want to say we want the participator, they can realize it is the problem, even if there was no climate disaster now, but climate change is already around us. Like this bicycle or this window have some signal about the climate action. Yeah, so we can go to the next slide. Next slide, yeah. So during this workshop, actually the logic is very simple. We have 20 participators and they have break into 4 groups. They like listen to the keynote speech from the expertise from expert from climate change, like low carbon architecture and low carbon traveling. Also the urban designer. They have this knowledge input. We can say it, yeah. And then after listening to this sharing, they will go into the community and go to the hutong, and they will find, yes, this building is no longer, maybe will be disappear, or maybe the people live in hutong. Their life may be inconvenient because of climate change. Maybe it can still live in here, but maybe later, if there's a heavy rain or it is very extreme hot weathers, that we cannot live here, it should be upgraded. And also, then two groups. There was two groups. They went into Hutong and talked with the people live here. Yeah, so that is what we encourage, because we're saying when you say community involvement, it is cannot say I think community look like this. I think communities buildings, if it is well prepared for climate change, it should be look like this. We don't think it is the knowledge only from the sharing. We want them to talk with the people who live here to hear what they really needed, and if this action they want to plan and they want to start a project, if it is appropriate and if it is welcome in this community. Because when you want to start the actions, you need more people to get in. When you want to do the community engagement, you need to engagement the people that really live here and have their needed. Yeah, so that is what we encourage and what we want to see in this activity. So we want to say during this workshop, in the last part, we encourage them to co-create. This co-create is maybe start a project or just say what the problem they already observed. Because our observe can just give the guideline and they can go deeper and add more detail. So during this co-creation part, we're very surprised that some of them already like to say, if what we want to upgrade it, the architectures, maybe just urban designer or the architecture is not enough. Maybe the people live here, they need to realize it is the problem. So we need more like workshop or salon or like maybe just the sharing to let them know it is the question. So they have the urgency to act because this is the places that they live. Yeah, so that is what they harvest because they get into the people's house and talk with them. And so in the co-creation part, they just draft I don't know, it's very surprising. They give us a detailed plan. Like if we want to upgrade it up architecture, we need to do the step 1, step 2, and step 3. Actually, finally, we didn't finish this and we didn't let this project landing because this project didn't expect this part. Yeah, I can say this. So this is what we want to do this year. Yeah, but that is very good cases to let people who care about this community to join in. And during this process, no matter the observation, conservation, or co-creation part, they know it is the problem and they know why it is the problem and they want to solve this problem. So I think that is a very important part when we do the community engagement or enable the community action about climate change. Yeah, so that's the first case. Amanda, we can go to the second. Yeah, the second one is more easy to understand. It is salons with pioneer communities. This community, they are from different interest group. Like some of them focus on food, some of them focus on board game, some of them focus on art exhibition. So we have this online or like the other form of salon. We try to discuss like if climate change is very hard to understand, then how to use different form to convert this information and to let more people to get in. Yes, by doing this, we want to like if these people is interested about art, maybe it can use art form like drama or theater work to display this information. So that'll be interesting. It's not just a word like climate change is very important. Is coming and it's very important for us to pay attention. If just the very simple word we don't want to say, but if this community they use different form to display this information, that more people want to come and they want to know what happened and what they can do. Yeah, so in this attempt, we also have the co-creation with a board game company. Amanda, going to the next. Yes, this co-creation of board game is based on the background of climate change. Like people, we are in the spaceship. This spaceship is carrying all the human being left, and we are using this space ship, we have to find our new home. And during this process, there's a lot of issue we need to discuss. Like we don't have enough food, we don't have enough furniture. If we can abandon old people, or what we can sacrifice. Yes, there was a lot of discussion about economy, civilization, environment. We use this board games form to let people join this discussion. During discussion, they will know why, how this crisis affect us, and why I need to pay attention to it. So some of them are in board game community, and they will come because it is the game that they like. But it is a game based on the background of climate change, so they will know more and want to like to do their own decision and to know others' opinions during this process. So we're saying the community based on interests have this very good functions when we want to convert climate change information. Yeah, so that's my sharing. It's different from like the Anubis sharing, because that maybe is more focused on the real climate risk disaster. But our job, like Greenpeace, we want to get close to more to the public, to the community. We want to use different form to let more people to get in and to involve in this discussion. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Xinran. I think you provide a different perspective on the awareness raising and preparedness. Actually, I know that you and your team have done some very wonderful jobs in climate change and public actions in China before. But listening to your sharing today, I was impressed by your works again and learned more things. So next, we will have a small chit chat section to do some Q&As. I'll see if there's any questions from the chat box. Yes, there's a question from Phoebe. She says that she truly agrees that community-led action is very important, but money is always needed to transform the community, and people may feel reluctant to pay for it. So how can we overcome this challenge? I'm not sure this question is for which speaker. So, Anubhav, would you answer this?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the question. Yeah, obviously, as Xinran said in our presentation, that people today they do not believe that the disaster or the risk that people across other countries are facing tomorrow, indeed they will be facing the same risk in within them. And for that, in order to ensure resilience from that, we need some sort of budgets, fundings, and money. So the best thing that we can do in order to do this is aware the community that the money they are spending in terms of resilience, in terms of activities for resilience, is for them. A dollar is spent today may save some more dollars, save some $5 tomorrow, right? Because ultimately the risk that they will be facing will devastate their economy, they will disrupt their lifestyle. So prevention is obviously better than cure, and prevention will be cost effective than cure. I think if we could aware the people in these sort of like strategies, and also if we could give some real life like experiences on how investing today had saved in terms of tomorrow's risk, then I think they will eventually be interested in investing. Yeah, that's from my side, Amanda.
Yes, thank you, Anubhav. And Xinran, would you have some idea to answer this question? I'm not sure if you have the same experience.
Okay, actually, Phoebe said a truth. Yes, money is very important, but I think there's also a fact that when we want to have a low carbon project, I can see the project is saying in a lot of communities, like the energy infrastructure for the electric car. Yeah, so in different community, the infrastructure is the same, but not every community need this infrastructure. So maybe this is in this community, the investment direction is not this infrastructure, but sometimes I don't know, the investor or the government, I don't know which one don't know this fact, and the investment in different community is the same. Maybe that's the status quo that is wasting the money. And in communities, if you want people to pay, I think maybe the first one is about awareness. They need to know why they need pay this money and why this change is important. If they don't know this, I think it's very hard for them to change, even their lifestyle or anything else. Very hard for them to change. So I think for in community, it has advantage is community is not that big like city. So if you have the chance, you have the mechanism, we can talk and we can sit, we can have the seminar, we can to discuss, to talk if we need this investment and why we don't need this investment, why we need other one. And this can like to accelerate our low carbon transformation, but we don't need it. Then maybe we don't use this money. Then we can use this to the other sides that maybe everyone, or we can say most of us like it, or we want it, then we can invest it. But I think if it is related to climate change, like raising the awareness and let them know why we need to do this is the first step. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I think yes, it's very important to have the first step to do the awareness raising. That only if you are willing to use this money on this place, not the other place, that we can have enough resources. I can. If there's any not other questions from the audience, I have a question for our two speakers. As youth, we may have less resources and are not that experienced. So, do you have some actionable advices to the youth, like how to deal with the fear of difficulties? So, what channels can we make an actual influence, or just some words you would like to say to the youth who want to make a change in climate actions? Xinran, would you like to answer this first?
Okay, actually, a lot of people, like my friends, they will ask me the question like this. I know it is very serious what I can do. Actually, for this answer, I cannot give very specific way. Like you can do A, you can do B, you can do C. We already published a manual of public climate change, climate actions. I say that we can give the principle. It can say like the first one is about your lifestyle. Yes, like you can change your way to go out, like using the car, then using the subway or bicycle, something like this. Maybe the second one is join the community, to join this public discussion, to let yourself know more about this topic. And the third one, I can say it, if you are the community leaders, you can organize the activities or the discussion that relate to climate change, and to find the connection between what you care and climate change. But I would say to this question, the best way is stop asking what I can do, but know who you are and trying to find the answer. Because when you trying to find something, the first one you need to answer is who you are. Like I'm the campaigner in Greenpeace. maybe my job is let more people to know this fact first, and then to let more people to join us. Yes, in different ways. But if you're not a campaigner in this like environmental NGOs peoples, if you're just the resident or the student, maybe if you can start a discussion in your community, in your home, or just organize the like the or invite your people to join the discussion, like or today's this sharing, you share this link to your friend and then you can discuss later. Maybe it is your first step to start your climate action. So I think maybe just in the past, I will answer this question very passionately. I would say, oh, what do you want to do? But now I say, maybe just stop asking what I can do and to find what you can do.
Yeah, thank you. And Anova, would you say something about this?
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I would say that every change starts from you yourself. First of all, you need to, in order to change your community, if the first thing that you can do is you can change yourself. In respect to Xinran's statement that we can practice sustainable lifestyle on self, because if every person in community can practice that sustainable approach, then overall the community will attain sustainability. We can practice waste segregation, waste reduction. We can follow other like sustainable lifestyle. You can plant a tree. Just planting a tree, if over all members of community plant a tree, then it will achieve a sort of multitude. The first thing would be ensure sustainable lifestyle. So, and especially the second thing is, the best part about youth is they can get organized in sort of a group or an organization. They have that they are the vibrant part of community. So you can get organized. You can I'm talking especially in sort of areas where we lack resources, where we lack in sort of financial terms, in sort of knowledge terms, where we lack resources. You can get organized. We can aware communities in terms of what knowledge you have. We can organize sessions like this. Now COVID, actually, it has drastically changed the way the information are shared. We have got virtual backgrounds, we have got online learning sessions, we have got online classes, online seminars. We can get trained initially train yourself and then train your community. So yeah, I think these are the things that today's youth can do. And especially for volunteers with Red Cross, Red Christian movement, there are many reference centers, there are many organizations that are working in the sector of climate change, in the sector of disaster management, mental health. You can approach them. If you have a sort of issue with your community, a risk associated with your community, the best thing you can do is you can communicate with those resources, with those organizations, and sure, you can collaborate with them in terms of finding a solution. Yeah, thank you, Amanda.
Oh, thank you. And the last question is, what do you think is the difference between collaborations with other sectors or just desk research and engaging with communities? Or what's the biggest difficulty when involving with communities and individuals compared to other kinds of work? I think you both have some insights on this because you did experience different kinds of work, including both desk research and field work. I noticed that Anubov have mentioned some challenges during his sharing. So maybe you can just like talk on one of the biggest challenge you think what is.
So practically the city where we operated the citywide risk assessment was a sort of financial city. It had got many shops. The people were historically associated with economic activity. So the first challenge that we had was, how can we motivate people to leave their economic activities, to leave their shops, and to attend our assessment. It was a very challenging job, because see, everything, it ultimately comes with the money. It ultimately comes with the economic earning. So eventually we had to involve with stakeholders, with community leaders, and with the mayor's office, with other like governmental and non-governmental organizations, so that we could approach members of those communities, and we could invite them to our assessment, and then after awaiting them and a sort of not only involvement, I think active involvement of community people is essential, so that they can provide relevant data, and also they can learn in sort of what are the strategies that are being done and what they can do in their lifestyle. So yeah, the portion of engaging the community and involving them was a challenging task.
Thank you. And Xinran.
So I can start from the second question, like what is the biggest challenge? I think the challenge is very obvious, like because every communities they are different, which means the practice or the experience in one community is very hard to copy in the other community. Then you need to design a new one. Yeah, you need to even the same people. Maybe you cannot come to two very perfect idea into a community. Yeah, so I think that is a really challenging part, and also because our project is not that very related to like to invest the money to do the infrastructure. So I would say the community engagement, why it is different, and it is related to the people. So different people have different opinions even in one project. So maybe that is the really different, because this scale is not that big, so you need to listen to different people's opinions, and sometimes you will say building the awareness is very important, but if it is the community, a lot of resident is the old people. Yeah, some of them will say you tell them what is climate risk, they will be afraid, and you didn't give them the solution. You just tell them it is very urgent. Yeah, so that is the difference. When you do this engagement, you need to talk with different people. You need to consider every type of people and their needed and their consideration. You need to think of that. I think that is the biggest difference. Like compare with the activities like just sharing or just talk with the individual, like also the community's lead, just talk with the community leaders. Yes, that's really different. But yes, that's also the challenging part. Yeah.
Yes, I think most of the time we are the ones who share the knowledge of what climate change is. But sometimes maybe it's very important that we be the role who listens to hear others' voice and understand their thoughts first. So thanks for your sharings and answers again. And before ending, I will promote some of our future activities. Let me share my screen. So we'll have another webinars on the 13th November, which is the day after tomorrow. And the topic is climate change and human security, human vulnerability and impacts of climate change on migration and displacement. And if anyone is interested, you can scan this QR code to register for it. And tomorrow afternoon, we'll have an open visual cafe about disaster readiness. And you can also scan this QR code to register. And if you have any further questions, or some words to say to our Asia Pacific Youth Network after hearing today's webinar, just feel free to connect with us through this email, or just drop some message to our social media accounts on the Instagram or the Facebook. So thank you again. Thank you so much for joining today. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.